Let's go over the topic outline for the course. Also the goal of the course, format, material covered, kind of what it will be like. Some of this is redundant that is already in the syllabus. And we'll have just a discussion about the topic. So that'll just kind of give you another overview. Try to make this somewhat quick and give you the basic gist of it. Then we'll get right into content in the uh, next few videos when we do the actual material. And some of this I'll just kind of read, but I'll paraphrase as I go. So the goal of the course is to present the general topics of statistics. It's kind of a survey of a number of techniques. Uh, Many of these concepts uh, of statistics you hear about in everyday life, everyday modern life these days. We're inundated with statistical claims and information, and sometimes they say things, and this will give you a better idea how it's done or how it's supposed to be done to be accurate. Uh, you see stats, statistical concepts in just about every field these days, from engineering to psychology, medicine, of course, economics, even in the arts and music, about sales, distributions, all that kind of stuff is there. You know that these companies like Spotify and Pandora, SMXM, they're keeping stats on everything that people are doing, and somebody's crunching them. So you know that's being done just about everywhere these days for sales or how people behave, things like that. So we'll cover the basic concepts of stats to give you a basic gist of it, and it's really just a foundational level. And then in the fields that you'll be studying, you'll take another course that's the research course. And in that research course, they talk about more research design and experimental design. And that's more directed towards your specific field. So that's what'll be done. And it'll be assumed that this course was done. So you know these basic concepts. We'll talk about confidence intervals. We'll talk about um, categorical data. You're testing, two populations, and we will be discussing those, and then they'll assume that you did it. So they'll go over it and review a little bit, but you have to have a basic underlying foundation. Excuse me. Okay. So next, let's talk about just the format. And this is a little redundant because I did talk about it in my syllabus video. It's completely asynchronous. And so basically what I do is I go through each section, which I'll go over those in a little bit below. They're right here. Okay, so this is when I say sections, I'm talking about these sections. So we're doing this per section, not per book concept. And I'll use mostly Mendenhall, but also sometimes OpenStax or other books to go through those. And you can see where the homework is out of what I want you to practice. Okay, so when I say sections, I mean these 1 through 16 sections right here. Okay, we'll go back over those later. So the basic just format is each week. Let's just, starting on Monday, you'll start going over the videos and taking notes. You take notes, you'll see that there's homework. You attempt and do the homework. The solutions for many of the problems will be or posted on Canvas in the book, and so you can reference those if needed. And then you will use those to do the quizzes, the 4 quizzes. And in those 4 quizzes, I'd say up to 2/3 of the questions will be right from the homework. So you need to do the homework to answer those questions. And there will be some worked out. So you'll turn in the stuff you worked out. If it's verbatim from the homework, you will turn in that page or that problem uh, when you submit your work for your quiz. You'll do first part will be a multiple choice, fill in the blank, true, false, that kind of thing. And then you will upload your work for your exam or for your quiz, which I went over a little bit in the syllabus section. And then you have a midterm and final, right? And then we talked a little bit about that. uh, let's see what else. The midterm and final are open book, open note from the material posted in Canvas only. If you're using language and or techniques that are not from there, I will recognize that and it will not be accepted. It'll be 0. So I want you to use the material I'm doing in the class. It could be from my videos, it could be from the notes I post or the books on Canvas, nothing else. Okay, moving on. All right, so notes about the material. This is where I go over some of the different sections. 1 through 6 is pretty brief, except for chapter 6 or section 6, I meant to say. Section 6 is on probability concepts, and that takes a little bit of work. Okay, let's see. So then from there, I highlighted the different ideas. It's broken up into 3 different types of study. And one is descriptive statistics, basically just presenting data, like this is what you see. And that includes some dispersion concepts, which will be variation or standard deviations, but also mean, median, mode of descriptions. Then there's also probability. There's a couple sections, probability distributions and the general concept of probability. That's 6, 7, and 8. And then the heart of statistics really is what we call inferential statistics, where you are making an inference about a population, the entire thing, based off of samples, okay, or based off of the population. You're inferencing what the entire population is like based off of that information. And that's where you can make decisions essentially based off of the information in the data. Okay, and that's inferential statistics. Okay, I do make a note here that there's a lot of topics, so it will be difficult to get through everything quickly and give you ample time to study and do ample examples with this so many topics. So a lot of it will be, from my perspective, superficial. I can present a topic, we do a couple examples, you practice a couple, and then I ask you a question. You will have notes to do this. Even in an in-person class, you would have like a full page of notes to work with, and you put your examples down how to do it. So it's similar to in person in that you will have plenty of opportunity to reference things. And then this is how we'll do the course. Uh, you will need to do some things by hand and demonstrate your work in pencil paper. Upload that to Canvas. The other pieces will be using some statistical things, packages like in Excel is the easiest one to use. Most computers, most everyone have used Excel, some spreadsheets of some sort. And it's very simple to use and it's very easy to get. So that I will expect you to be able to do for some of it, a small portion of the course, but that's when we'll do some testing, especially when we get to inferential statistics. And we'll dabble with it a little bit in probability finding and descriptive finding mean, median, mode, maybe even presenting data. It's a really easy way to just highlight a bunch of data, and it already automatically does a chart for you. So things like that. Let's see. Okay, so read through the details. I did not go through the details, read through all the specific details of that. A lot of information there I want you to, so you got to read that multiple times, please, to get to what I'm saying. It took me a while to get through all that and be very specific about what we're doing. Let's get up into some of these details. I already mentioned some of this. Office hours, just ask, just email me. Best way to reach me. You can use either the one in Canvas or just use the email itself, which is probably better because it keeps the email chain in there, but it doesn't really matter how you email me. I'll get any way you do that. The leonard.crow@edu, jp.edu, or you could use Len if you want. One.crow works as well. Uh, Exams and quiz outline is in the syllabus. I already talked about that. And here's the topics. Let's go ahead and go through some of these. So sections 1, 2, and 3, especially 1 and 2, are really just presenting data. How do you present data and what to do? I have you can see, define a couple things in there, variables, types of variables, plots. These are the sections I'd want you to look at in Mendenhall and OpenStax. And in this case, the homework, there's nothing assigned. I'm really just saying read the book, get a feel for it. And uh, all of these I will have videos for. Okay, I'll post those, so you'll be able to go through those. Let's see, sampling, collecting data. Again, more stuff on that. We'll define population, sampling methods, random sampling. We'll discuss all these concepts, experimental design. This type of stuff is not really pertaining to this course as much. You will go through that a lot more carefully in a research class. And here I just tell you basic chapters to go over. Then we get into some past topics that are, meaning like algebra, that you really need to understand to get through the course, and that is set notation and summation notation. I give you a couple places to look at. I posted Fisher has a really good outline. It's a stat book, but it has a really good outline on summation notation and sets. So I'll show you some of that stuff. Also Mendenhall. Pick up any college algebra book or even intermediate algebra book. You can say something in Chat GPT. It's very brief and simple of a response. So if you want to kind of check your knowledge or just have a real short overview, is really good. Actually, tried a couple of those. So you could just say, give me a basic, give me an outline of summation notation used in statistics or something like that. You could try whatever, and it gives you a good outline. So that's really what 3 is about. And I give you homework problems to look at. I won't ask you anything specific about those. We'll be using those to do, mean and standard deviations and things like that. We'll be using that notation. So you need to know it. So we get into then section 4. We call those central tendencies or dispersion for a sample or population. We'll talk all about that. For mean or average, median, mode, variance, we'll do all that. Standard deviation, range, and they give you a number of homework questions to look at. So that will be on the first quiz. You'll do some simple calculations. 5 is a warm up, I'll call it, to one of the later sections in regression analysis or linear regression. This is on what we call bivariate data. So you have 2 data points, and you can basically plot an XY curve like that and see what kind of line matches. So we will give a brief introduction of that. I'm not going to get into the details of that until we need more information, more depth to understand that. And then the last in the first week is what's on probability. And this general format, we'll talk about the general concepts and terminology. Then we'll talk about more detail, and this gets into counting rules, independence and conditional probability, a little bit on multiplication rules for probability, like how many different possibilities, that kind of stuff, and then a number of homework to look at. Many of these homeworks are either real simple or some are right from in Mendenhall. There's a solution manual that highlights certain problems, like it does certain problems. In the book, they're like highlighted in green, but when I'm posting some of the excerpts from the book, you won't be able to tell they're green. So they're listed. And then there are problems that aren't in there. Like I want you to try it on your own and go through those. And then OpenStax has these what are called triad exercises, and all the triad exercises have solutions. And I posted that as well in Canvas. Okay, then from here, it gets more details, discrete random variables. So we talk about discrete, continuous variables, that sort of stuff. Probability density function, do all that. Mean variance of binomial probability distribution, so then we start getting into the nitty gritty. Normal probability distribution, sampling distributions. Okay, and through 9, still populations and probability distributions, central limit theorem. So then after that, we get into 10, 11, 12. So then we get into inferential statistics. Okay, so inferential statistics is when we start doing hypothesis testing and um, intervals, confidence intervals, things like that. Okay, so 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 is how far we have to go. I will just do a few comments on chapter 16. Those are on what are called non-parametric statistics, usually reserved for small samples or what you would assume as non-normal distributions. We'll talk about that bell curve normalness of a distribution and all that. But when you get to 16, you assume that they're not. And so it's just an introduction. I'm not even there's nothing on it on testing or anything. So that's how far we have to get. So a lot of it will be introduction, concept, example. That's it, right? And then 2 sections at a time, and I forget, I guess I can go back, huh? So 2 sections at a time will be the quiz and the exam. So when you get to the final exam, and we're talking, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, that's it. Like a couple sections, couple questions per section, and that's it. You'll have plenty of time to do those, but you just got to work them out and show all your work. So one of the keys to the class 2 is getting through the work, submitting the content appropriately and on time, and using the techniques we're using. So when I see techniques that are not used, or it's clearly from one of the AIs or something, or Wolfram Alpha, that kind of stuff, and it's very obvious that it's not your work, then you don't get credit. So as long as you're following every day, you're doing your work, you are doing the homework, you are doing the videos, writing out all your content, there are ample points for just doing stuff in the online format. Okay, I think that is about it. We'll go through this summer as we go. Again, I'm just going to stay ahead of you in each of the sections and topics. Feel free to give me input on the videos and what you want to see more of. If I can, I will do that. Sometimes there's reasons for how I do things specifically, but other times I can change things as I go. So the first week will be done by the time you see them. But if you have any suggestions, please just email me and let me know. Okay, so I know you're looking at that as I'm scrolling. Should be a good course. It's going to be fast. So let's kind of buckle up and get ready for that. Don't get behind. It'll be tough to get caught up in a course like this. You can't just I'll just work all night and get through it. Math doesn't work like that, as you probably know by now. So If there's questions, concerns, just email me and let's get going. Thank you.